You're listening to the Business Brain Food Podcast. This is episode 117.
Welcome to the podcast that gives you direct access to the world's leading business building experts. Head to MaxMyProfit.com.au to catch up on past episodes, download your free business growth tools, and access show notes for every single episode. Now here's your host, Ben Futrell.
Well, g'day and welcome back to another episode of Business Brain Food. This, my friends, is the podcast that's devoted to taking you and your business to the next level. And the good news is, doesn't matter whether you're brand new to this business thing, so maybe you're just scratching that entrepreneurial itch and starting something new, or maybe you're like myself and you've been in business for a long, long time and you've got the scars and the wounds to prove it. No matter where you're at in your business journey, there's always something new you can do to take your business to the next level. And today is absolutely no different. In fact, I'm going to get you to ask yourself this question: how can it be any better than this? And you're probably thinking, well, I'd like it to be. And today I have got Gary Douglas coming on the show. Now, Gary is the business partner of Dr. Dane here, who we had on last week, talking about his methodology in active consciousness and helping people, live, I guess, the life that they deserve to live. Because, it is all about choice. And I think it's really, really inspiring. I loved my chat with Dr. Dane here last week, and I thought, if I could get the founder of that particular active consciousness on the show as well, what could be better to get somebody else's aspect or thoughts behind it? And, whilst I know that the mindset stuff is the stuff that we don't want to talk about quite often in business. We like talking about the technical stuff. We like talking about, cash flow forecasting or marketing or Facebook, using Google AdWords or something like that, social media marketing. They're all the buzzwords. But the reality is that your business is going to be as successful as you think it's going to be, or you allow it to be, or you drive it to be through your own mindset, through your own thinking. So I really do like the whole methodology of asking yourself these questions. And one of the questions that both Dr. Dane here and Gary sort of mentioned was, how can it be any better than this? And I think if you ask yourself that question, how can it be any better than this, rather than saying, is that it, or that's it, or, like asking yourself better questions. So that's really, really cool. Now, before I do get stuck into chatting with Gary, whilst he's up there at their Noosa residence that where we spoke to Dr. Dane last week, because they're running their workshops up there at the moment. They're in Australia, so it was quite pleasing that Gary could take the time out to have a chat with me today. I just want to say once again, if you are a first-time listener, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on board the Business Brain Food Podcast. Hopefully, you'll go back and listen to some of the previous episodes. We cover everything mindset. We do the technical stuff. I've had some amazing guests on to talk you through the how-tos of things like YouTube advertising, Facebook marketing, putting a marketing plan together, selling. We had some amazing people on in regards to team recruitment, to systemization, to you name it, we've had it. And so everything from the technical aspects of getting the work done to make your business work better, right through to the mindset stuff is, there's just a host of things there. So welcome to the show if this is your first time listening. If you are a long-time listener, welcome back. Really grateful that you're here. And if you are enjoying the show, please jump into the iTunes store and leave an honest review or rating. It really does help. And, I really love it when I get to read those reviews that you leave and the words that you leave, because it just makes me feel really proud of what we've built here, and that you're tuning in every week and enjoying the show. So thanks so much. Alrighty, now you would have heard at the top of the show that we've made the domain a little bit simpler, the domain name, where if you want to go and access the show notes for the shows, you want to get any information or access any free business tools or downloads, you can go to MaxMyProfit.com.au. Nice and simple for you, MaxMyProfit.com.au. As with the other domain, sometimes people go, how do I do that? What is that domain? How do I spell that? So a little bit of a shift in our domain name and making it easier for you to find it. So if you want to max your profit, that's where you go, maxmyprofit.com.au. We've got all sorts of freebies there. You get access to every single podcast episode with all the show notes. Unlike, if you're listening to it on your podcast player, you may be limited as to what you can do. Is where when you go to the website, you'll get all of the links directly, easy clickable in a computer browser, and away you go. You can go and visit other people's websites, opt in for their giveaways, etc., etc. So do that if you want. All right. So we're getting close to the end of the year too, aren't we? So only about, what have we got? 11 days till Christmas, not to scare anybody. And that's, of course, if you're listening to this on the published date of the 14th of December, 2016. You may be listening to this after Christmas. Don't panic. It is still another year until the next Christmas. But if you are listening to this on the release date, only 11 days to go. Just a quick reminder too, don't panic. We've got another episode coming out next week, and that'll be it until mid-January. So there won't be any new episodes. We'll be taking a short break over Christmas to relax. I'm away for a month, not going anywhere, but just take a month off to rejuvenate the brain and get ready for 2017. Love spending the Christmas time with the family. I think it's really important, and that's where I will be. Alrighty, so let's get stuck into today's interview. Well, first of all, let me introduce the guest. Gary Douglas, as I said before, he's the founder of Access Consciousness. He started that back in 1990. And it is in, I think he said, over 130 countries. I got some incorrect information off his website, or one of the websites, looked like it was an old page. But he's actually in over 130 countries, which is amazing, to say the least, to build a business like that. He also runs 12 separate businesses. So we're not just talking to him about his Access Consciousness model here. We're also talking about how, as an entrepreneur, does he run 12 businesses. I talk a bit about what is his secret or his key to being as successful as he is an entrepreneur. I mean, he's got an international, business, or several international businesses that he runs, and he still lives a fabulous life. So, it was always interesting to speak to entrepreneurs of that level to find out what they're doing. So we do that. He's a best-selling author, international speaker, sought after facilitator all across the world, and he's known for his intensity of awareness and incredible capacity to facilitate people to know what they know. He came with an exceptional level of awareness into the Midwest middle-class white-bread family and lived the Leave It to Beaver childhood, and he's had a very different view on life and realised that he was so different from most of the people he knew when he was only 6 years old. He became of this difference by watching people create their lives and seeing that none of it was about the joy and the possibilities. It was always about the wrongness of everything. So he became an internationally recognised thought leader in transforming lives and creating different choices, and willing to empower people to see different possibilities and recognise what is truly possible for them. And he's acknowledged worldwide for his unique perspectives and personal transformation that is unlike anything else in the world. And I think if you listen to the interview with Dr. Dane here last week, you'll know that this Access Consciousness system is actually something that is not, I think I call it Tree Huggerville last week. There's a lot of tools, right? There's a lot of tools that they use to help you. So, after recognising that there was a greater consciousness in people that can change the direction of their lives and the future of the planet, that's when the creation and expansion of Access Consciousness by Gary had been primarily driven by one single question, is that what can I do to help the world? So he's got a very strong vision about helping the world be a better place. And I think as a result of you listening to this podcast today, you are going to be able to make better choices, ask yourself better questions, and live a better life. So without any further delay, let's get Gary onto the podcast.
Learn more to earn more.
So after talking with Dr. Dane here a few weeks ago, I wanted to get Gary onto the show to talk a little bit more about the Access Consciousness and the fact that also Gary owns 12 businesses and manages to run those all at the same time successfully. So we're going to get Gary onto the podcast. Welcome to the Business Brain Food Podcast, Gary.
Thanks for having me.
My absolute pleasure, my friend, my absolute pleasure. Before we do start getting stuck into talking about yourself, the Access Consciousness sort of methodology, and also, being an entrepreneur yourself, learning a bit about how you manage to run 12 businesses all at the same time, I'm going to ask you the same question I ask every guest, and that is for you to share something quirky about yourself.
It's time for something quirky. And now, something quirky.
When I was a kid, people would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'd say, happy. And they go, no. What do you want to be, son? Happy. No, son, you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, an Indian chief? Yeah, as long as I'm happy. And guess what? I'm happy.
Yeah, great way to be, eh? Great way to be. I think it's funny. It's because it is just a choice, isn't it? That whole happiness thing. Yeah. And that would confuse people.
It does. And it used to confuse them. They just hated when I said I wanted to be happy. But I looked around when I was a kid and I saw all these people being unhappy. And I go, how is this a way to live? Made no sense to me.
Yeah, no, I could understand that 100%. Now, you're the founder of Access Consciousness. Maybe you could tell us a bit about what led you down that path.
It's called life has led me down that path.
Yeah.
Because basically what it boiled down to is I tried every church, cult, religion thing that I could find to find something that, showed me the truth and showed me the way to actually have the happiness I desired. And it's like I tried everything. And it's like I titled myself a seeker, and I was always seeking the way or the method or the means or the modalities that would get me someplace. And none of them really worked. And then at some point, my sister-in-law came to visit, and she wanted to be a channel. So I had a friend who was a channel. I invited her over to do this, channeling stuff. And I thought, okay, this is weird. And it's like I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden somebody's looking at me, and then all of a sudden he's in my body, and I'm going, get out of here, get out of here. And he did. And I told the lady who came over to help her, and she said, maybe somebody wants to channel through you. So he did. And that's when all this information about access began to come through. And when it came through, it's like I went, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be weird. I don't want to be like all of you weird people. And it's like, and that's when I finally realized, you know what? I have to be just what I am and not worry about whether it's weird to anybody else or not. And that's really the thing that makes the difference between you being successful in your business and not. That place of going, I don't care how weird I am who I am, and I will be who I am. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man, so.
So do you think that alone stops a lot of people from success? Is they're not willing to be themselves, or they're worried about being themselves?
Yeah. It's like they are so interested in making sure other people see them in a good light. They aren't willing to be them and decide whether people can receive them. And the thing I discovered in all this is, like, the weirder I got, the more people liked me, which was really annoying, because now people come to my house and I can't get them to leave. It's like it used to be easy to get them to go. Now it's hard to get them to go. So it's like, you're so interesting. Thanks. You're not. Goodbye. Yeah.
So I guess one of the things that, you mentioned the word cult before, and I've read some of the media stuff about access consciousness being referred to as a cult or something similar to Scientology or something. What's your response to that? Is it a cult? Is it because number one, I don't really understand whether a cult, why they think cult's a bad thing. I actually think cult is part of culture, which is a good thing. But do you think that what you've created has become a bit of a cult?
I don't think so, because cults basically ask you to give up your point of view for their point of view. And the one thing we ask of people is, don't give up your point of view for anybody's point of view. Get what your point of view is and stick to it. Do what works for you. Don't do what works for me. I don't want followers. I'm not interested in followers. That's what a cult leader wants, is followers. I don't like followers. I think it's annoying. It's like, I'm sorry, get away from me. Leave me alone. I want my own life, and I don't want to live somebody's life for them. So people will ask me for advice, and I go, I don't give advice, but I will ask you a question. What's the one thing you're not willing to be that if you would be it would make you successful? And they go, what? Why are you asking me that question? I said, because success in life is just a choice. Now, what are you going to choose? So, not interested in being a cult. There's a wonderful lady named Chutisa Bowman who wrote an article about is access a cult? And what she did is she studied a book that's by a man named Eric Hoffer, who wrote his book in the 50s. So damn smart that when I read his book, I had to look up words. I had to look up 15 words. I know so many words. It's like I never have to look up words. With him, I did. I was really disappointed in me. But he predicted the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1958. He predicted it would happen. And it's like he saw how cults and cultures and things expand and change, and what gets created by the choices people make. So it's like, do we qualify? I don't think so. And it's like, I always make the joke that if we're a cult, then we're the cult of sex and bling, because, it's like, I encourage people to enjoy the sex they have, but have the sex they want. And, it's like, dress well, look well, and, succeed. So it's like, if that's the cult, then that's what I'm a cult leader of.
Good answer. One of the things that I learned from Dr. Dane here the other day, talking with him, or the other week, I should say, is that you guys have got, you have developed a whole bunch of tools. So rather than it just being some, like I said, it's not it's not like a religion, really. It's actually a process of helping people. Maybe can you explain a bit about how that helps people to change their lives?
Yeah, it's the processes by which they determine what they've chosen. Like I have people who come to me and they say, I have cancer. And so I say, okay, so what are you dying to get out of? And they go, I'm not. I said, well, do you have cancer? Is that a death knell? Yeah, then you got to have decided there was something you were dying to get out of that made you create that. How did you create it? And so I will ask them that. And I had a really good friend who I asked that of, and she said, I'm dying to get out of my relationship. I said, how about divorce? No, I don't want him to get my money. I said, if you die, who's going to get your money? It didn't matter. She literally died because she didn't want him to get her money, which of course he got when she died. And as a result, he went through it when he got a new wife. If she'd gotten out of it, she'd have had half the amount of money, but she'd have had a longer life. That wasn't what was important to her. What was important to her is him not getting her money. And it's so amazing to me, the number of people who will get some terminal disease and they're dying to get out of something. But when you identify it, you can help them or not, depending on their choice. It's like she made the choice to die rather than to get a divorce. And it's like when people make those choices, they die and the person gets their money anyway. And, it's all kind of crazy from my point of view. Why don't you look at how you created this? Because from my point of view, everything that occurs in our life is something we created. We made a choice that created that. We're not an accident here, and we're not something that, things happen to us. We create everything, good, bad, or ugly. We're the creators of it.
And I'm a great believer that, I always say you've got what you decided to have and you've got what you deserve because you decided to have it.
Exactly.
So many business owners out there, though, that are struggling and, they're not sure how to get out of that struggle street mindset and move to a more successful mindset. I mean, you look at the statistics of small business, Gary, and so many are failing. I think they say it's 8 out of 10 in the first 5 years, but from my understanding, within 10 years, only like 3 or 4% succeed. How big a part do you think that being a better person or better mindset is important in building a successful business?
Well, I'd say that really, from my perspective, it's about being and having a greater question. It's like if you ask, what can I be or do different today that would create success right away? You'll start to see the places what you need to change. The difficulty is most people get into a business deciding it's going to mean this, 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 and this. And it's like, and so they're not on the creative edge of a possibility. They're on the, cutting edge of a movement, or they're deciding that this is the way it has to be. I just watched a program the other day and they were talking about Legos, and the guy created Legos and then he committed suicide, and his wife sold it to a German company who became hideously successful with it. And it's like literally he was on the brink of success, but because he had decided something. And it's like, unfortunately, because he committed suicide, nobody knows what he decided, but he decided this wasn't going to work. And the moment you decide something is going to work, you might as well give up because it's not going to work.
Yeah, and it's a very interesting mindset, isn't it? So yeah. I think, was it Henry Ford that said it? Whether you think you can or think you can't, whichever way you are right. Was it? I think it was Henry Ford.
That's correct. And it is correct. If you think you can't, you can't. I mean, I had a lady who called me and says, I bought this business. I know it's going to turn out well. What do you think? I said, I think it's going to turn out just exactly the way you've decided it will. Because she really had decided it was going to fail, but she was being positive. And, people do that affirmation stuff, thinking that if they have a negative point of view, if they're positive about the point of view, it's going to turn around. The reality is the negative point of view you make much stronger than the positive point of view you have. And it's not their point of view that's important. It's the question they can ask. What can I be or do different today? You could change this all right away. And the other thing I do every day is I destroy and uncreate everything my business was yesterday. Everything my business was yesterday, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Because that way I always have to be on the creative edge of everything. And therefore I'm always looking, okay, is this working? Is this working? What's working? What's not working? What do I need to change? What can I change? And there's 4 basic questions that, that you can use that can make you more successful. What is this? What do I do with it? Can I change it? And if you can, how do I change it? So it's like the funny part about it is most people are trying to say, okay, well, what is this? This is what I created. No, this is what it has become, because you create something with an idea, but your idea doesn't always carry into actualization. It sometimes falls apart because it's not the thing you could do that would create the success you desire. But the willingness to be different always will always keep the door open for a greater possibility and a greater success.
Do you think that a lot of businesses aren't succeeding? Is it like a self-sabotage? Is that people not allowing them to be successful because they're worried about what others are going to think, or something that happened in their childhood? Or, I'm always interested to get into this mindset side of things.
Those are always the justifications for why you fail. My parents didn't see me as successful, so I couldn't be successful, whatever it was. When I was a kid, my mother used to say, Gary will never have any money because he always gives it all away to his friends or spends it on them. And so for a long time, I thought I couldn't be successful because I would give it away or spend it all. And then one day I went, wait a minute, what if that's just my way of functioning? And will I spend more than I have? No. The one thing I realized is you can't spend more money than you already have. So if you always make a commitment to yourself, I will never spend more than I have, then you can never fail because you'll always create more. And so I started creating from that point on, recognizing that mom's point of view wasn't really my point of view, and I didn't have to buy it as true or real.
Yeah, good stuff. I think one of the things I wanted to dive a bit deeper into was, you said before it's just a choice, and then you said you've got these daily rituals where you undo everything or destroy everything that was yesterday and recreate something new today. Is there daily rituals? Because there's a lot of business owners out there listening to this podcast. They're in their business, they're struggling, they're not making ends meet, they're frustrated, and no different to that Legos guy. Maybe they're on the brink of ending it all. And you say, oh, it's just a choice. But so many people go, well, it's just not, to them, that's not that easy. Why, or how can somebody embrace that it's just a choice and actually get on with making a change that's going to benefit them?
Well, by asking that, what choice do I have today that I didn't have yesterday? What choice could I have that I haven't chosen? Because it's like if we keep in the question of what is really, what else is possible, what else is possible, what else is possible? It's like I use that every day with everything. And it's like, and as a result, it's like, that's the way I can run these 12 businesses. And everybody goes, how are you doing that? I said, it's easy. I just ask what else is possible and what do I need to do today? And it's like that point of view of always knowing that there's a question, and a question will create. See, questions always create. Conclusions always destroy. So if you come to a conclusion about what you should choose, then you're going to destroy your business. If you say, I can't do this, you might as well give up because you've already destroyed the business. You got to look at it from, okay, what else is possible and what else can I create? And it's like, and do what's going to create your business, not what isn't. And, it's like, I just watch all kinds of people do crazy ass stuff and they succeed. And it's like, and I go, okay, so what was the one thing you did here that made this successful? I never gave up, I never gave in, and I never quit. And that's a good way to function. Never give up, never give in, and never quit. And if you never quit, then you're always still seeking, and you're always still looking, and you're always going to create something that will lead you to what you desire.
So is this a daily ritual for you? I mean, these asking questions is something someone can adopt a question list?
It was in the beginning. Now it's just a way of being. I just function from, okay, what's else possible here? Like we bought a house here in Noosa with some friends, and it's like it has a little tiny beachfront. And we were looking at how do we replace the dock so we can have a dock for jet skis, because Dane has jet skis, and it's like, and our business partner has a jet ski and they want to go jet skiing all the time. So we need a place where the jet skis can come in and out. And there was no place for it except on the wrong side of the dock, which belongs to the people next door, and they were not happy about us using it. So I'm out there and I'm going, okay, what else is possible here? And we had come up with all kinds of solutions, but because they've made a new mandate and new so that you can't change certain things, it's like that wasn't going to work. So I looked at it and I went, oh, what else is possible? What if we flipped the dock so it was the other direction? And so the pylons stayed where they are, but the walkway was on the other side of the pylons, which would then give us enough money for the docking stations for the jet skis. And it was really easy. And today we're meeting with a guy to talk about doing it. So, and it looks like, because it's a rebuild of a dock that's in deep trouble, it looks like it should go just fine. So, hey, there's always a different way if you're willing to look for a different way.
Yeah, you've got to ask the question, haven't you?
Yeah, just got to ask the question.
That'll make Dane happy, because he did rave on a bit about his jet skis when I chatted to him a few weeks back.
Yes, he loves his jet skis, okay?
And rightly it's so, like, when you're up in Noosa. Yeah. It's a nice spot up there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, good spot to be jet skiing. So, as a business owner, then, if I'm stuck in that rut, for you now, you're saying it's just part of your day. You just subconsciously ask these questions every day. It's part of who you are. For somebody who is stuck in that rut and struggling a little bit, should they come up with a set of questions that they can ask themselves every day to get them in that right mindset?
Yeah, and the number one is, what can I be or do different today? Because it's like, if you're willing to do or be something different every day, then you're looking for the piece of your awareness and the puzzle of your reality that you can change and have something different show up. And it's like, when you function from that one question, you start to create everything. And it's like, one of the things I always teach people is, how does it get any better than this? Which is a question you can ask about anything. And I had a lady who came to my class in New York City, and she was walking out of the class, and she goes, how does it get any better than this? And she sees a dime on the floor, and she picks it up and goes, how does it get any better than this? She's walking to the subway, and she sees a $10 bill on the ground. And she picks it up and she goes, how does it get any better than this? And waves down a taxi. The taxi drops her off in front of her house, and as she's getting out, she sees something sparkling in the gutter. And she reaches down and picks it up, and it's a diamond bracelet. And then she doesn't go to the question. She goes, can't get any better than this. And that's the last improvement she got. You got to keep asking, how does it get any better than this? If the dollar shows up, if $10 shows up, if 100, if 1,000, whatever it is. I had a guy who did that. He was living in a harbor, and he kept walking to the bathroom. And every time he walked to the bathroom, he'd find money on the ground, and he'd go, how's it get any better than this? So every day he was making almost $100 off of money he found on the ground. And then he said, but that's not enough. I said, what question is, that's not enough? He says, oh, now I understand why the money stopped being on the ground after I had that point of view.
Yeah, it's very powerful, isn't it? Now, I'm interested to know, because you've not only have you got 12 businesses. I mean, the Access Consciousness you've Access Consciousness you developed or founded in 1990, I believe. Over 2,000 training facilities worldwide. It's spread to like 50 countries, and
it's actually now in 174 countries.
Wow, they need to update your website.
They do.
So I'm interested to find out.
Get on somebody about this.
Yeah, please do. I'm interested to find out from an entrepreneur, because that's, I definitely class you as an entrepreneur. How have you gone about, I know there's the mindset side, the technical side. What would you say have been the most important factors or the biggest contributors to your success?
Well, the biggest contributors to my success have been in the way I chose people to work with. Because I don't have the point of view people work for me. I have the point of view they work with me. And if you get that people are working with you, and then you listen to their points of view, you can get all kinds of magical information that will help your business. And the other thing is, I'm willing to let everybody fail. I had a lady who went, oh my God, I failed to do this. And I said, okay, don't worry about it. You won't make that mistake again. And she went, you're right, I won't. And then she worked twice as hard for no more money to prove that she wouldn't make that kind of mistake. How'd that work for me? Really well. How did it work for her? Really well. Now today she's a major part of my business, and she makes, she runs the worldwide organization of Access, because I have Australia's seminar, Access Seminars Australia. I have Access Consciousness US, and I have Access International in Ireland. And so we have 3 different companies around the world that run different portions of the stuff, and we help facilitators and we help people everywhere. I mean, there are over 140,000 people that get our newsletter and do something with Access. And beyond that, we have all kinds of free stuff on the internet. You know, Dr. Dane has, you know, his chat room thing that he does, and it's like he has more followers than you can imagine. Right after the election, he put out what are those things? A video, Skype video, or some, I don't know, YouTube video or something. And it was talking about the election because a whole lot of people were upset by it. And it's like, and it went in 3 days. It went from 300 people to 55,000 people. Just got shared. And it's like we do our best to share as much as possible to make it possible for something greater to occur. That's what we're interested in.
Yeah, which is awesome.
What can we do to make the world a greater place?
Yeah, which is awesome. And I got that, you know, definitely got that message loud and clear with talking to Dane the other week. And just, you know, the energy you guys have and what you're bringing to the world, I think is awesome, because I think too many people do get stuck in that rut where they, you know, they play that victim game or whatever you want to call it, where life gets too hard. And I just don't think it needs to be that way. You know, so I think it's good what you're doing. So selecting the right people is very, very important. And one of the key things you just said there was you let them make mistakes. Are you running regular team meetings with these people as well to review what their results are? I mean, how do you manage? I mean, you must have a lot of people across 12 companies.
We have over 64 people that work for us almost full time. And what I do is I give somebody a job and I turn them loose and let them do it. And I don't micromanage. And it's like this great book written by Chitisa Bowman called Conscious Leadership. And in there, she describes micromanagement. And micromanagement is the thing that kills your business. I met a guy, I went to do some stuff with his staff. His staff were wonderful. And he was a micromanager. And he would spend 5 days trying to find a 10-cent mistake and then charge the person who made the mistake for the 10 cents. And I went, why are you bothering? 10 cents is not going to break you. It's not going to make you. It's not about somebody made a mistake. 10 cents means nothing. Why is this an issue? You have to keep people on their toes.
And people don't like to be kept on their toes.
No. Well, it's like the thing is that people are working really hard and they're doing the best they can. Why would you expect them to be perfect? I don't expect anybody to be perfect. I don't have a projection or expectation of anybody. And therefore, I'm always delighted with what they create. If you have projections and expectations about people, you're going to be disappointed. If you have none, you'll always be delighted with what people create.
Yeah, that's a bit of gold right there. I mean, there's a lot of people listening to this podcast that have teams, maybe not 64 in their team, some may, but there's a lot of small businesses that have just got 2, 3, 4 employees. How do they deal with an employee that has maybe given up themselves? You know, you've spoken a bit about how you personally have helped many people and yourself by, you know, asking the right questions. Is there something an employer can do to help their team members to overcome their own restrictive beliefs?
Well, the one thing I do with my staff is, like my people, is I go, okay, so what's going on? It's like you're not doing the same job you used to do. What's going on for you? And then they'll usually say, oh, my ex-husband is doing blah, 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 or this is happening with my children, or my mother's sick, or whatever. And I go, okay, so is there anything I can do to help you with that? And they go, no. I said, so what part of that owns you and what part of that do you own? Because the thing that became real to me is, it's like we don't own our car, we don't own our furniture. It owns us. Because we get up and go to work to take care of it. It doesn't get up and go to work to take care of us. So you got to see when things own you, or when you've given ownership of you to someone or something else. It's like if you've given ownership of you to them, it's like with ex-husbands doing, bad things to their kids, the women will tend to give up themselves in favor of trying to protect their kids. I said, so what is your kid capable of that you're not acknowledging here? Do you really think your kid's that weak, pale, and interesting? I said, why are you trying to protect your kid from his parent? Shouldn't the parent take care of the kid? And if the parent doesn't, is the kid going to want to be with that parent? No. So let it work out, and give your kid space to become the gift he is or she is, because they are a gift to you and they are a gift to their father or mother, but you can't control it. You have to let them choose how they're going to go. It's like you do that, you empower your kids to create their lives. You take care of them all the time, you empower you to take care of their lives. Then when they're 40 years old and they're still living at home expecting you to pay for them, you're in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, running these 12 businesses, then you're finding that you've got great people. You're helping these people to overcome any issues they've got. I think that's a great methodology, I think, for helping someone just by asking the right questions. What do you find? What other aspects of running 12 businesses have been your key to success? Are you, I can only imagine you must spend a lot of your time planning and going through numbers and meeting with accountants. Nope. Tell me about how you manage it all.
Well, I have good accountants, and I ask them to provide me with information. And the thing is, I can always sense when something isn't working. And I will call up and I go, okay, so what's wrong? What's going off? What's wrong? Something's wrong, and I don't know what it is. And they go, oh my God, I just discovered that we lost this kind of money. Okay, cool. So what do we do to change that? And that's always my point of view. Not how do we lose that money, not how can we make up that money, but what can we do to change it? Because if you ask what you can do to change something, then the person who has found the difficulty is already looking for how to make up for the damage they've done because they think it's their fault. And it's like 90% of the things that happen in business are not somebody's fault. There are things where somebody got sloppy, where somebody was unaware, or where somebody did not choose something they should have chosen. So my point of view is, what can you choose different that would create a different possibility here? And that's the reason I ask, okay, so what can we do to change this? It's like, we bought a ranch, and I went to Japan, and I had Kobe beef for the first time, and went, oh my God, this is so good. I didn't know Kobe and Wagyu were the same, just treated different. And I went there. I went, wow, what kind of cows are these? Oh, they're Japanese blacks. Okay, good. So I went, where's the nearest place in Texas to find Japanese blacks? It was 1 hour from where our ranch is. So I bought 7 of them, 1 bull and 6 cows. Then 3 days later, my ranch manager found seven critters, 2 bulls and 5 cows that were available for the price that I had paid for 1 of these black Wagyus. But the guy had lost the papers, so we have to go back through the process of getting them papered again. But, it's like the end result is I end up with, 1 bull that we call Tank, 1 that we call Frank, and the third one who's a little guy we call Dinner, because he's the one we're most likely to eat.
Poor old Dinner.
Poor old Dinner.
I'd rather be Tank or Frank.
Exactly.
Very good. Very good. Well, I know I'm mindful we're running out of time. What have you got any sort of parting tips or advice for? And I know you don't give advice, but parting tips or words of wisdom for the business owners listening to this podcast that are looking, to take their business to that next level.
It's always the question you want to ask is, what can I be or do different today? And what can the business be or do different? Because business becomes a life form of its own. And if you start to see your business not as your business, but a life form of its own, it's like then it can start to give you information that will allow you to change it to be more successful. And always ask the question, what can I be or do today to make money right away? What can I be or do today to make money right away? And then someone will walk in the door and say, can you do a party for 100 people or something? Whatever. It's like you never cease to be amazed at the things that show up when you ask those questions. Be in the question.
Be in the question. I love it. Now, how can people find out more if they want to find out more, Gary?
Well, they can go to accessconsciousness.com. There's all kinds of information there. There's all kinds of free videos. We have a call we do every week on the blog talk radio called Voice America, the Empowerment Network. You can go on there. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of tools that we give free all the time because we would like people to be more successful in life. And if they come to a class, that'd be great. And if they don't, we want them to still have a greater life. So there you go. You got choices in life. Choose, choose, choose. Choice creates, conclusion destroys.
Yeah, it's all about the choice, isn't it? I think, and that's a really important parting lesson there is that people do have a choice. I think it's such a good lesson to have. All right, we'll make sure all those links go into the show notes, folks. So if you are driving the car or you're on the treadmill and you can't write down those links, I'll put them all in the show notes for you. This is episode 117, so BBF117, and you'll be able to find all of the show notes, all the links in the show notes, so you can find out more about Gary. And of course, go back and check out Dr. Dane Here's podcast episode as well, where I chatted to him. It was a very different slant, but a very similar message, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. If you enjoyed that, definitely, if you enjoyed this one, rather, you'll definitely enjoy that one. So make sure you go back and listen to that episode. All right, Gary, there's only one thing left to do, my friend, and that is the 60-second scramble. Are you ready for that?
Yes.
All right, the clock has started. What's your, have you got a hidden talent?
Yes.
What is it?
You didn't ask that question. You asked if I had a 10 talent. I'm great with horses.
Fantastic. What's your biggest addiction?
My biggest addiction is happiness.
I love that. Love it. What's your favorite drink?
Anything that has alcohol in it.
Your best way to tune out and relax?
Getting my bars run, which is one of the things we do in Access, bars running, which is very great for, deleting the files on your computer banks.
Nice. What's your number one tip for being more efficient?
Always ask a question, never come to conclusion, and always look for what somebody else knows that you don't.
Have you got a favorite inspirational quote you can share with the listeners?
Yeah.
Could we hear it?
Yeah. It's like it's like I went to an entrepreneur's class. The guy said, the one thing that you do the best and the easiest is the one thing that can make you the most money because you don't value it because you figure if it's so easy for you, anybody else can do it too, which is the greatest lie you will ever buy. Wow,
I love that. Love that. Never heard that before. I love it. And so true. Once again, Gary, thanks so much for coming on to the Business Profit podcast. I know, you've got probably getting pulled in all sorts of directions to do interviews. I really do appreciate you coming on. I'm sure the listeners got a lot out of it. Enjoy your time in Noosa, and I hope your jet ski jetty goes in the right direction.
Thanks. Me too. And thank you. And it's like Dane said you were great, which is one of the reasons I agreed to this. So thank you so much, Ben. You're an awesome interviewer.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, mate, and all the best. Cheers.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Edutaining with business brain food.
Well, there you go. Another insightful episode from the guys over at Active Consciousness. And, that's been like a bit of a two-part mini-series if you listen to 116 and 117. Dr. Dane here last week and Gary Douglas this week. But it's been really insightful to talk to these guys, and I just love their mindset. And I know for some of you may be struggling with the whole concept of just make the choice, ask a better question, just choose to be happy. And I think I said it to Dr. Dane last week, people ask me, why am I always so happy? Well, I just choose to be. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's okay to be happy. There's nothing wrong with being happy. In fact, I think it's strange that people think being happy all the time is strange. And I really want you to embody that and encompass that and think about how you can change the way you, perceive what is normal, because I think, you see so many people that aren't happy. I don't think that's normal. And I don't think that's a healthy way to be at all. The other thing I loved about that interview was his philosophy on business success was all about surrounding himself with the right people and then just letting them do their job. He's not a micromanager, and he lets them fail, lets them make mistakes. And I think it's such a great lesson and very reassuring for me, because it's very much my style. Is I say to people, you know what, I'm not going to micromanage you. You need to go off and do your job. As long as you're clear on what it is, that should allow you to perform flawlessly in that role. And I always hope that is the case, and that by doing that they'll just get on with it and get their job done. And of course, if they're not performing at the level that they were once, then have that chat. I think it's a great philosophy. So thanks once again, Gary and Dr. Dane, for coming onto the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure over the last couple of weeks, really getting a deeper understanding of what Access Consciousness is. It's a huge organisation across the world that's loved by many. And, I think that if you are keen on becoming more self-aware and being the best you can be, you go to their website, which is that accessconsciousness.com, and have a look at the events that they've got on. They've got a few more events on in Australia, and they, having their property here in Noosa, they're here. No doubt they're going to be here on a regular basis. So if you want to get into one of their workshops, then I really encourage you to do that. All right. Well, once again, thanks for tuning into the Business Brain Food podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. If you have enjoyed the show, please go into the iTunes store, leave an honest review or rating. If you want to listen to any of the past episodes or grab some of the freebies that are available on our website, go to maxmyprofit.com.au. And in fact, one of the most popular downloads there is my business planning template that I developed from scratch. Spent many hours. I don't want to reveal how many hours I spent doing it, because I probably shouldn't have been creating a template. I could have got somebody else to do it, but I felt that there was no good business planning templates out there that really encompassed every part of what's important for an entrepreneur. So I built my own, 30-something pages, it's automated in the sense that the contents update as you fill it in, as long as you use Microsoft Word or Apple Pages. And, and go and download that. It's one of the most popular. It gets downloaded, 500 times a month. It's a very, very popular piece of resource or tool, business resource. All right. So once again, thanks for tuning in, and look forward to talking to you again on the next episode. We've got some fantastic stuff coming on, and I think one more episode before the Christmas break, and then we'll be back in January. Until then, have a profitable day.
You can fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You can live all you ever wanted.
The Business Brain Food podcast is brought to you by Action Coach.